Okay, we're live.
All right. Good evening, everyone watching at home. We had our first run with a webinar Zoom meeting, and what that allows is during the public comment portions of a meeting, we will be now accepting public comment through the Zoom platform so we can see everyone. For everyone that may not have caught the disclaimer, for our closed session meeting, we will be taking that comment through the video means only. If you're joining by phone, we will not be accepting public comment through that medium. We will still accept public comment if it is listed in the comments feature of the webinar. But with that being said, we're still going to follow the same platform requests that we would ask during a regular in-person meeting. And what that means is we would like your first and last name and your property address, and then you can go ahead and pose your question to the council. But we will let you know when that opportunity arises. And the only platform that we will be accepting those through are Zoom, not Facebook. With that being said, we'll call to order our regularly scheduled mayor and council meeting for February 8th, 2021. Time is 7 p.m. or 7:05 p.m. We'll begin the meeting with a moment of silence, and then we'll lead into a pledge of allegiance. All right, so now please, Mary, do we have an image of a flag?
Give her a second.
Okay.
She's running it up the pole as we speak.
It's okay. We're ready. All right, so once Mary shows us our flag, you can take yourselves off of mute and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, so I would ask that if you're not speaking, go ahead and or presenting, go ahead and mute yourself at this time. So the first item on our agenda this evening is the approval of our executive session minutes from January 25th, 2021. And we would need a motion. Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Orris. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
So I have a second by Councilmember Nur. Councilmember Nichols, how do you vote?
Aye. I approve.
Councilmember Burrell, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Purnell, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, so the executive session minutes from January 25th, 2021 passed unanimously with all council members present. 1B is the motion to approve our regular session minutes from January 25th, 2021.
Mayor, I just have two corrections. Under 4, with the discussion of Heron Park, the first sentence there, after the discussion with staff, and should be members. And then I'll defer to you, Mr. Mayor, as this was your speaking. If you continue on to the next page, the members who did not wish to continue, or in the cases of Councilmember Orris and himself, Council members Purnell and Nichols were also on the committee. I think that you were indicating all of us, so need to correct that, I think.
Thank you. So we'll take the motion with the corrections from Councilmember Orris.
I have one other correction. When when Dave Fitzgerald was giving the update for the fire company, I want it noted that I specifically asked for a detailed written report.
Okay, so let the minutes reflect Councilmember Orris and Councilmember Nur's amendments. And looking for a second.
I'll second that.
So I have a second by Councilmember Nichols. Councilmember Nur, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Councilmember Purnell, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Burrell, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the minutes from our January 25th regular session passed unanimously with the amendments from Councilmember Orris and Councilmember Nur. Item number 2 on the agenda is motion 2021-04, motion to approve the request for placement of wood duck boxes at Heron Park with Worcester County 4-H member. Would you mind, Mr. Betts, telling me how to pronounce your first name?
Ewan.
Ewan, okay, I like it. And it's good to see you with us this evening. Would you like to inform us a little bit about your request for the wood duck boxes at Heron Park?
Yeah, actually. My name is Ewan Betts of Worcester County 4-H. And did everyone get a chance to read this document that is up right now on the screen?
We did, thank you.
And is there any other questions?
Are there any questions by members of the council regarding Mr. Ewan Betts' proposal for some wood duck boxes at Heron Park?
I just had one question. First of all, very impressive, Ewan. Very well done. How long do these boxes typically last?
They can last forever if they're cleaned out, and probably around 25 years maybe.
Wow, impressive.
Because it's cedar wood we use, so it probably will hold up for a long amount of time.
You'll be the next person on the council by the time these boxes need to be replaced.
Probably.
You and I had one question. Oh, no, I think you answered it because I did read this, but as I'm looking at it again, it shows me you guys plan on cleaning this annually, your 4-H crew?
Yeah, I'll commit to doing that. Yeah, cleaning it
Okay.
and checking if there's any repairs will be needed. And they don't have to be cleaned often, so like every 3 years. I'd like to tell you why I want to do this project. I love birding at Heron Park because it is near my house. And wood ducks are beautiful creatures, and we could attract more of them to the park. It would also bring birders to town, and they might stay and get some lunch and shop.
That's good. And those are referred to as secondary economic benefits. So your wood duck boxes could help drive some revenue for our downtown businesses. That's good to hear. Do we have any other questions for Mr. Ewan Betts? And I noticed that we have Dave Wilson on the call too. I don't know if you would like to add anything.
Well, thank you, Mayor Tyndall. Again, I'm just here to help answer any technical questions that you might have had that maybe Ewan couldn't answer. So, and again, I live at 10705 Par 5 Lane, Berlin. So, not in the municipality, but yeah.
It looks like Ewan's very prepared this evening. So
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
he's doing well. Go ahead, Councilmember Nichols.
How many boxes are we talking about? I don't know if I saw that part.
2 to 3.
Oh, okay.
And Mr. Dave Wilson has already has the idea in his head of where they're going to be put.
So they're going on the edge of the water, right? You said on the edge?
Yeah,
No,
They have
not
to be
far from?
close to the edge.
And will you let us know when you go to install these?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for Mr. Ewan Betts?
Mayor, I'd just like to add that although the timing of this did not allow for the Parks Commission to review the request before this evening, this is definitely something that they would very much be in favor of. So I have no doubt about their support.
Thank you.
Ewan, is this a project where you would want to add more boxes down the road?
Yes, it's at Heron Park, right there.
So I believe Councilmember Nur's question would be, if they were successful, would you like to add more than 2 to 3 boxes?
Maybe next year I could do some normal birdhouse things because I make them with my dad, just the birdhouses, normal ones in my garage.
If I can elaborate, there probably is only room for about 3 wood duck boxes, but there's definitely room for bluebird boxes and some other things. So I think maybe that's what you was referring to also.
Yes.
Now, Ewan, you mentioned that you're going to be building these boxes with your father. If you don't mind, take some pictures along the way too, so that we can help share that to our social media platforms and with the press along the way, all right?
Okay, I will.
We
Thank
first
you.
got to make sure that the council approves it, but just in case, make sure you get some photos. And it looks like we have a hand raised by Councilmember Orris.
Yeah, you and I just want to say, be careful when you're putting them up. And if the council has no further questions, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve this request.
Second.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Orris and a second by Councilmember Purnell. Councilmember Burrell, were you trying to interject with a question?
No, I was trying to make the motion.
Okay, I apologize. How do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Okay, Councilmember Nichols, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Councilmember Nur, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, so Ewan, your motion to approve the wood duck boxes at Heron Park passes unanimously. We wish you the best of luck, and if there's anything you need from us along the way, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Great
Good
job,
luck.
sir.
Very good idea.
Thank you, Ewan.
All right, so let's move on to agenda item number 3, which is the general fund and utility funds update with the second quarter update of revenues and expenditures against the FY21 budget. And this is going to be led by our finance director, Natalie Salee.
Good evening, everybody, once again. I hope you had a minute and glanced through the presentation. I'm just gonna start slide by slide, and Mary is gonna drive, so I have to say next when we move to the next slide. Mary, next, please. So this general fund balance is simply, I am inserting it as a repeated slide from the presentation of audited financial statements by PPS and Company, and I just want to kind of bring it back, the general fund balance and the numbers where we stand. And I want to bring it up as well going forward in the next couple of meetings. We're going to be discussing the budget, but as well, we will be discussing more of a general fund balance. What does it consist of? And also discuss a reserve policy in the nearest future. So this kind of an overview or overlook of where the general fund balance and what does general fund balance consist of. And then we go and look at the details of a general fund for 6 months performance. So that's basically our numbers, and I'm ending them as of June 30th, 2020, and the whole balance. Next, please. The one before. Thank you. So the description of the categories that general fund consists of. Basically just a narrative to give you an overview, what is what, and to simplify, non-spendable, it's pretty much self-explanatory. In our situation, we have a transfers from one fund to another, so that's the balance, but it's part of a general fund balance as well. Restricted has a specific purpose, and it has restrictions from outsider. That's how restricted basically can be memorized. Committed and assigned, they're very similar to each other, and they have a specific purpose, but that assignment created by internal body, which is Town of Berlin Mayor and Council. So
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. We're good. I hear the background. So committed and assignment and assigned are very similar to each other. And unassigned, it's pretty much the spendable balance, what's left at the end of the year. as of fiscal year 6/30 of after all the expenses been paid. Now we can go to the next one.
Natalie, I'd like to just interject real quick. Again, the numbers that you're looking at are on these first few slides are as of 6/30 of 20. So before the question's asked, if you think back, I want to say it was in the October timeframe, the council did move on the non-spendable to reduce that by half. But that's, again, what you're looking at tonight, on that first slide is as of June 30 of 20.
Correct. So the next slide is showing us the general fund balance as of fiscal 2020, and that would be exact the same amounts that stated in the audited financial statements. And non-spendable consists of the sewer and the stormwater interfund transfers, which in 21 will be reflected and reduced by half. Restricted is our impact fees and slots revenue. Assigns is our insurance and the community project funds set aside. And unassigned is the remainder of all the general fund balance. So the total for fiscal 2020 as of 6/30/20 is $6.2 million. We can go to the next one. Now we're going to go into the details of 6 months actual versus what we have for fiscal 21 budgeted amounts. And the short summary and overview for general fund revenues and expenses for 6 months actual versus budgeted. We have budgeted for revenues. I'm going to round the numbers to the nearest. So 6.2 million. We have received for 6 months 4.7. The difference of 24% more to be collected for the remainder of 6 months. For the expenditures, we have budgeted 6.6. With that said, on the bottom, we have several transfers as well as advancement from the impact fees for the street projects to show that we are running on the balanced budget. As of December 31st of 20 calendar or fiscal year 21, for general fund, we have revenues exceeding the expenditures by 1.6. The next slides, we will go through a little bit more details. So if you go in through this, if you see something on the slides, if you want to stop me, ask a question, please do so. Next, please. So the revenue for general fund consists of several categories, where the money come from, basically. We have taxes as the main source, which is 71%. We have 2% in licenses and permits. We have little, small, other grants, 4%. We have county grant, 14%, and the service charges. And those are numbers representing each amount, but next slides, I will discuss them more in details. Next, please. So taxes in the category total include real property tax, corporate, public, room tax, in lieu of tax, state income, and penalties and interest. As of December, we have collected $3.3 million of a 4.1 budgeted, 4.2 budgeted. So we have another 20% for taxes to be collected by the end of fiscal year. Licenses and permits, we have budgeted 186,000. We have collected almost 80, which is a little bit more than half. It's on a good trend, on a good pattern. Next, please.
Natalie, could you define franchise fees? What is that made up of?
Those are fees we collect from the cable companies that are running through the town of Berlin.
Gotcha.
The description for all the grants, we have highway user revenues, we have state police grant, Main Street tourism, we have slot revenues for SAT grant and park and recreation. We have budgeted 478,000. We are at 194. We have about 60% to collect. And the main part here, as we can see, that park and recreation grant has not been received. So the number is a little bit higher on to be received. Worcester County grant, the normal amount is $465 that we receive each year. This number include a payment received for COVID grant, which is the difference of 171. So that's the difference you can see on the bottom. Next, please. Service charges, several categories. It's pretty much all the services that the general fund receives into. Fingerprints, police reports, park and recycling discount, miscellaneous, and then the reimbursements and contribution from each enterprise fund for overhead. And there is a small amount received from the electric for the bonds that general fund is contributing to. So in the bottom, we have service charges of 835,000. We have received 425, which is pretty much on the pattern of 50% to be received for another 6 months. Next, please. Impact fees. The impact fees a little bit behind. It kind of, to my concern that we might not be able to collect all of them by the end of the year. Hopefully we will, but from the residential and commercial that we have budgeted 30,000, we only got 4, which is 87% more. I'm hoping that we will catch up by the end of the year. Interest earned, it's basically our investment in the bank. Budgeted on being on very conservative side. We're receiving 23,000. And I'm hoping to be higher at that number, which is great. All this interest earned investments covering our credit card expenses, which we don't profit, but we allow people to utilize the credit cards online and recovering the services for that. And then we have a little bit of miscellaneous income of 5,000 budgeted, and we're at 3,600. Total revenues for budgeted amount is 6.2. We are at 4.7. We have 24% more to collect, which is a good promising trend. I think we will succeed by the end of the year to collect all the revenues. So that kind of concludes the revenue portion. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to move to the expenses.
Natalie, I do want to say one thing for everybody. On the revenue side, more just some food for thought. If you think back, the Willows is well underway. Oceans East is underway. IG Burton is underway. So we've got some significant numbers that are inbound shortly. So I feel very confident that those numbers, those revenues will be in hand on or before the end of the FY.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. But the numbers will be reflected more on the EDU side. I'm hoping the impact fees as well. So if no questions, we can go to expense portion of the general fund. This slide is basically the expenses by each department. There's a short summary. And then the slides after depict the details, each category or line item for each department. I don't want to spend the whole evening going number by number, but overall, if we look at the differences of each department, we're on a good pattern of either at 50% or a little bit more to expense, which we should expect that to be at 6 months mark. On the bottom for the capital outlay, you see that 380. I purposely separate that because it was a contribution from the impact fees to support the street projects. But the number there is a negative. It's not because we haven't transferred. We have expensed it under capital outlay, which you can see it's $487, but I'm just showing it as 2 separate line items. So overall for the 21 budget for the expenses of 6.6, we have expensed or completed the project at 3 million, and we have 3.5 to go, which is 53%. It's I feel it's very good and promising that we will be within the lines and not, hopefully nothing going to happen catastrophic. So in each individual, next slide, I'm just going to give the overview of small details, not going into each line by line. Next, please.
Natalie, I would like to add just one thing, if you don't
Sure.
mind. When we made the transfer from impact fees, we said that the difference, if we received an excess of the highway user revenues that we expected, they would go back into the impact fees to offset that contribution.
As of
Just
right
to-
now, yes, it's absolutely correct. But as of right now, we're a little behind on the highway user revenues. We've projected that we're gonna collect 111. We are at, I believe, 27,000. So if by the end of the year, that will happen definitely.
Thank you.
The expenses by departments, I know it's busy graph bar, the whole pie chart, but I just want to have you to have a feel of what percent of all the expenses each department takes out of total. So police department is 28%, so it's police department and community safety at the highest level. Then we have administration at 16. Then we have capital outlays, which is the expenses with the purpose of either purchasing equipment or doing the capital projects for general fund at 16. Debt service 8, streets department at 6%, sanitation 6, planning department 2, economic development 3%, recreation and park 1%, and I think I missed finance and customer service 4 and 7%.
Natalie,
Yes.
before we get too far, I believe, I don't know if we should do it now. There is a question in the Zoom comments.
Okay.
We're gonna, as a
Is
as
that
a
a,
rule of thumb, what we're gonna do is we'll take public comment and public questions at the public comment portion of the meeting. Just because that's how we would do it in person. We would also like to keep that consistent. So
Okay. Next, please. Mary? Okay, thank you. So elected officials, we have budgeted 183,000. We're at 89,000 as an expense. The personnel part is the first up top on the screen, salaries and their benefits. Pretty much everything straightforward. We have 51% more to go for the end of the year. So it's in a very good pattern. Next, please. Administration is a little larger department. We have more personnel included here, and also we have fire and EMS allocation line item under the administration. Special appropriation, if you have a question, what does it consist of? It's the contribution to AGH, Hospital Cancer Center. Budgeted 1.3, we have expense 493,000. We have 63% more to go for administration. Next, please. Finance department, professional services, including the audit for Town of Berlin, uniform financial statements, and the audit for the fire company cost. That's the 50,000 budgeted. We have 22,000 as of right now expensed. The total budget is 295. We have expensed 129. We have 56% more to go. Next, please. Customer accounts, I'm showing that as a separate so we can see the expenses, but normally customer accounts are observed by the utility funds. So the end total is 0 to the general fund. So each fund contributes the percentage to reimburse the customer accounts because basically it touches every single utility fund. But as of right now, for 6 months, we're at 54%, which is right where we need to be. Building and grounds, we have $49,000 budgeted, 50,000, 49,950. We're at 8%, 8,000, which is 84% more to go. And we have not much under contracted services expense as of right now. Next, please. Police department budget. You probably will ask me, why do we have negative on insurance? That was a refund for the vehicle that we submitted to be replaced, and we have refund later on, when the police department will replace that vehicle, that amount plus the insurance refund will be applied towards the purchase of a new vehicle. That negative will not stay there. The budget at 1.9, we are at 859,000. We have 55% more till the end of the next year. Thank you. Recreation and parks, 64,000 in budget, 19 expensed. We have a lot more to go. Hopefully we will have leftovers in that budget. And youth program is the main line item. It's the contracted services. We are at 14,000 in expenses. Next, please. Economic development. I'm trying not to go by each line because we will do that through the budget sessions. It would take a much longer time, but I'm trying to pick some items that are very significant to a department. Marketing, the HCD grant is the reimbursable grant for applications for the businesses. The budget of 238, expense 88 is 63% remaining. Thank you. Planning department, very straightforward. Contracted services include services that we utilize for inspections. Pretty much that's all. This is the biggest line item. 191 in budget, 74,000 expense, 61% remaining. Public works. Originally we have budgeted for a public works department head, but it looks like we're going through this year without. So the amounts are very low or zero. We have 90% remaining.
Natalie, if I may, for that, just so everyone's aware, the plan back when we formulated FY21 budget for public works, I did not have the intention for July through the early fall of filling that with a department head at the time. So that's why that number is where it's at. But we have not filled that role, as Natalie had mentioned.
Thank you. Next, please. Sanitation. The largest line item is the contracted service, and it's basically our landfill fees that we pay into the county. Was budgeted 131. We are 80,000 expense. Total budget 376. We are 184 actual with 51% remaining.
And if I may, Natalie, as well, with the contracted services that Natalie has highlighted for sanitation, the reality is on something for our landfill tipping fees, we are well ahead of, when I say ahead, we're behind, I guess is the right choice of words, from where we would typically be. But we attribute the higher numbers, obviously, to the COVID folks being at home.
And also here we'll include in the recycling being that it's in the Heron Park.
Mm-hmm.
Streets total 515. We have expense 205 with 60% remaining. The main item here, I guess the largest is the street lighting. We budgeted at 67. We're at 27,000 with 60% remaining. Next, please. So debt services for the general fund consist of Grand Avenue bonds, small amounts for electric bond, and also the Heron Park. 307 total budgeted. We're at 240. Some payments are annual, several are quarterly, and one is biannual. So that number is basically fallen on December, but it will be completed by the end of the year. Here's a breakdown for capital outlay. We have capital outlay admin, which is a replacement vehicle for administration. We have the equipment police, that's what I was referring with the negative. We have insurance refund will be applied against the purchase of replacement vehicle for police department. Below is the streets, budgeted 111. That was total amount for state highway expected to be received, and also below you will see the impacts fee. 350 was a transfer, and 30,000 we have budgeted for the year. So with that, we have against, or excuse me, 483,000 in capital projects for the street already done and finished. And then parks, that particular capital project is supported by the grant. We haven't received the grant, so as you can see, it's a zero for right now. Total for the budgeted amount is 6.6. We are at 3 million, with 53% remaining for the general fund. That kind of concludes the expenses for the general fund. If you have any questions, if not, we will move for a brief discussion of the utility funds. Electric fund is the next, and I'm not planning to go line by line. I'm just going to give the revenues and expenses in total, and then by the categories, just to have an overall overview, because it's going to take us a whole evening. We will discuss all that during the budget work sessions. Operating revenue for the electric fund was budgeted at 5.5. We are at 2.2 actual, which with 60% remaining. Operating expenses, 5.3. We're at 2.5 with 53% remaining. So as of 6 months for electric, we are a little bit under overexpensed or negative in the total, but we have some insurance proceeds over $99,000 received for the engine that's been replaced. On the bottom, I'm inserting that just for the informational purposes to show that even though we record in all the revenues, the collections a little bit suffering due to the COVID and the restrictions for the weather and the state regulations. I'm putting here for comparison, for December 19, we have outstanding and non-collected of $247,259. In comparison with the fiscal 21 or December 31st, 20, we have 444,000 outstanding. It's a big increase, but we're hoping that collections will improve when the weather will be better and the restrictions are lifted. Next, please.
Natalie, before you move on, what is typically the bad debt percentage for electric service? In other words, what is the amount that can never be collected?
Evaluate this every year and record it at the end of the year with the PKS and company during the financial audit. So normally we would have 15 to 20% allowable for bad debt. The revenue source for electric fund, the biggest one obviously is electric services that we provide to the community. Service charges, and we have a little bit of interest on delinquent accounts, and we have a little bit of miscellaneous. And that miscellaneous, the biggest difference you see, that's the insurance refund, which is going to be combined with the capital project for the engine. So 5.5 is budgeted, 2.3 collected, recorded, 3.3 million is outstanding to be received, or 58%. Electric fund consists of several departments. Each department has a category for the expense. So I combine all the departments together and kind of break them down by the main categories so it would be easier to look at it. Purchase power as an expense is the biggest one at 61%. Personnel cost is 21, supplies and operations 9, professional services at 2, contracted 6, and a small percent 1 of insurance. Below you will see a breakdown for each. The budget of 5.5, 2.6 actual expense was 53% remaining for electric fund. Water fund is next. Operating revenues budgeted at 777,000. 350's expense was 55% remain. I'm sorry, revenues. I'm jumping. 350 is collected, 55% remaining. Operating expenses, the budgeted of 941, 427 expense was 55% remaining. So it's on the same pattern, but we are looking at a loss as of right now for 6 months of 76,000 operating, and then we have special connection fees, 17,000, which play into the whole fund balance. So as of right now, for 6 months, we see of 60,000 operating loss. Hopefully the revenues will improve and we will remain watchful for the expenses and the fund will not close on a negative. Outstanding receivable for water is 25% increase in comparison with 2019. We have 58,000 as of 19, and we have 73,000 as of 20. Revenues by source, water services is 84%, the largest amounts collected from providing the water services to the community. We have service charges, special connection fees, it's the EDU collection, service and material interest, and then miscellaneous. We have 61% to collect by the end of the year. Expenses by the category. Largest expenses are personnel costs for the water fund. We have 20% capital outlay for this particular budget. Contracted services, 1%, insurance, supplies, 12, repairs, maintenance, 9, and general overhead is 18. And overall, we have 941,000 budgeted. We're expensed at 427 with 55% remaining. Sewer fund operating revenues were budgeted at 2 million. We're at 1 million to be at 6 months mark with 48% remaining. Expenses at 2.2. 806,000 expensed with 64% remaining. So overall numbers in favor for the sewer fund. We have special connection fees collected at 47,000 as of 6 months mark. And Jeff mentioned prior that we're expecting more EDUs to come by the end of the fiscal year for the projects that are coming to be started or completed. Outstanding sewer receivable, 193,000 versus 244,000 for fiscal 21, increase of 26%. Sewer fund revenues by source. We have sewer services provided to the community takes 85%. Hauler fees 6%. Hauler fees is the utilization of the wastewater plant by the outside vendors bringing in the sludge for disposal. Services and material 1%. Special connection is our EDUs and service charges. We have 55% remaining to collect by the end of the year. Expenses by the category. Personnel cost, 36%, capital outlay, a little number, 2%, debt service, 23%, contracted services, we have supplies and operations, 16%, insurance, repairs, maintenance, and general overhead. Overall is on a good path. We have 63% remaining for the sewer fund and expenses. Hopefully this year we will close in green, not in red. Stormwater fund, our baby fund, is consistent pretty much of all the only services and 2 employees. We have operating revenues budgeted 167, collected 85, 50% remaining. Operating expenses in the same pattern of 50%, and the collection increased by 18% as of 6 months. The expenses consist of service charges, the revenue consists of service charges provided. There is a little bit of interest in miscellaneous, so we have 50% remaining. Stormwater by expenses category, personnel 63, capital outlay, there's a little portion of the Grand Avenue submerged wetlands expense. insurance, contracted services, a little bit of professional services, supplies and operations. We have 50% remaining for the expenses for the rest of the fiscal year. That pretty much I flew through the whole entire slides, just trying to make it fast. But if you've noticed something that you would like to discuss, let me know. Overall, nothing outstanding or alerting as of right now for the expenses. I'm hoping the water services expenses will remain down so we can kind of take a breather and say that we closed the year for water fund and sewer fund in the good numbers. General fund overall is doing great. I am expecting to collect the collections of all the revenues in full and even exceeding.
Thank you, Natalie. Do we have any questions from the council?
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell?
Natalie, the figures that you have presented, were they generated by a report from your software?
Yes, sir.
They were?
Yeah. Mhm.
Very good information, very complete information, but I would like to see something else.
Okay.
I would like for you to add some type explanation when the percentages, the planned percentages are greater than 10%. That's plus or minus. So that means you would be adding some type analysis as to why at 50% of the year we're only at 40% or we're at 60%. But I would just like to see this done for not every line. Just lines, budgeted lines greater than $100,000.
Okay.
Okay.
So just to clarify, when I said that the reports are from the Tyler, yes, we run in the report the number wise from the Tyler. But then basically what I do myself, I export it in Excel and I make it pretty much pretty to look at. So if the format or something or the graphs that I insert, this is done outside, but we definitely can include a line item for items above the 100 if it's up or down by 10%.
Yes.
Explanation line.
Yes. Yes. That will give us more information as to why spending is not, or revenues is not where it should be. And if there is a concern, not spending where you should be could mean something's not getting done.
Mhm.
But I just think that would be real good information to have, especially since you can generate these reports right from your software.
Okay, sure. We can insert that.
And just going one step further,
Mhm.
I would like for this not to be your analysis, but be the analysis of the department heads.
Okay,
Okay.
that's easy.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Councilmember Burrell. Do we have questions from any other members of the council? All right, hearing none. Well, thank you, Natalie, for a very thorough presentation.
Mayor Tyndall, I raised my little hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the hand raise. Councilmember Oris, go ahead.
That's the little hand on the Zoom. Natalie, something that's, I've been paying attention here for a couple of years, and something that's always kind of just confused me. I think it's terminology. And as we get into the in-depth work sessions, I'd like to be able, if you would be able to create a report of some sort to kind of give a little history and background on these transfers that seem to happen. Is that something you think you can maybe create?
Are we referring transfers to general fund or we're referring to non-spendable balance or as an interfund transfer? I'm just trying to clarify, or budgeted transfers.
I think that the general fund transfers to start, I think we should probably look at.
Okay, so the actual transfers are not in place. They're budgeted as projected on the specific presentation. There is a transfer from sewer fund created with the specification if the sewer fund will be able to commit that transfer by the end of fiscal year, as discussed during the budget. And also there is a small transfer under stormwater fund for $25,000. The same pretty much scenario. If the stormwater will close the year with positive and access, then that repayment or that transfer will happen. As of right now, there is no actual transfer, just the budgeted amounts. But when you refer to the history, this is the first budget we have actually scheduled a transfer.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or hand raises that I may have missed? All right, the one thing I think Natalie usually adds is a caveat. Her door is always open. Don't let me speak for you, but I think I remember the disclaimer, but her door is always open. So if you have any questions as it relates to this or other financial matters, feel free to ask. She's a wealth of knowledge and definitely would have the ability to help answer any questions you may have. So feel free to reach out.
And just to add, going into, I think next meeting, we're planning to give a brief, short, or even more than brief overview of general fund balance and the categories of general fund. And then going the meeting after, we will discuss the reserve policy that needed to be discussed and established. And then we're going to have a budget workshop.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on to agenda item number 4, which is the discussion of a potential sale of a portion of Heron Park. The town administrator is going to take the lead, but before he does, I'd like to add a disclaimer that this does only include parcel 57 and parcel 410, which you'll be able to see on a map. This does not include the passive use portion of the park as we know it around the lagoons, and also where the council just approved the wood duck boxes to go. So Town Administrator Fleetwood, if you would.
Well, Mary, please put up slide or page number 14. And this page that you're looking at, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. It is page 14 of the appraisal that I sent to everyone, but I wanted everyone to have a visual of where we're talking as it relates to each of these individual parcels. So agenda item 4A is an apple, is real property appraisal of parcel 410. 410, I'm colorblind, so I know it's the one that's highlighted. But that sits in pretty much in the middle of the property. And I just want to, I guess, give everyone an orientation. Parcel 57, which is to the left of 410, that is the actual physical processing plant and the property that it sits on. So if you go to the right of 57, you'll then run into parcel 410. And again, to put it in perspective, the top line, the northern line is just south of the berm. If you go over the berm, you're back where the ponds are. And that property runs to the east all the way over behind G. Williams's property. And as you can see, it's just shy of 10 acres of land. So why are we at an appraisal? Why are we here? What is there to discuss? I want everyone to know that we have had interest from multiple entities regarding parcel 410. One of those entities has actually put their interest in writing. So when that was said and done, the next step that we went to was telling that entity that put it in writing that I'd like for them to pay for an appraisal, which they did. And that is the appraisal that was sent to you that was done by W.R. McCain and Associates. So parcel 410 will be the first piece of property that we will discuss. So Natalie, or Mary, I'm sorry, would you go to the next slide? That's the appraised value. The appraised value of the property, and I wish to make it known that on that parcel 410, there are currently 2 outbuildings, one of which was the old Tyson Plant maintenance shop for their vehicle fleet. And then there is a pole barn that sits to the northern end of the property that was used for storage. Both of those buildings and the parcel of land have come in through W.R. McCain at a value of $770,000. The appraised value, the next slide, Mary. That next slide shows an appraised value, the reconciled value of $660,000. That does not include the 2 buildings. And what I wish to always as well share with the council, not only is there a difference in price between the property with the buildings and the property without the buildings, we need to also put in the back of our minds that there will be an interruption of operation, because those 2 buildings, bringing the appraised value to $770,000, those buildings are currently being used for storage on the town's behalf. Prior to us acquiring that property at Heron Park, we were storing our snow plows, wood chippers, things of that nature. We were actually storing those things out in the elements. So now we have that luxury where they are being stored, out of the weather. So that adds value to our equipment. But we have, again, 2 values with the buildings at $770,000, without the buildings, $660,000. So there's about $100,000 delta between with and without the buildings. Again, nothing else has been done beyond this point. Again, I've told folks that have contacted me, whether in writing or just with a casual conversation or a phone call, first of all, the mayor and council need to make a decision. One, do they have any interest in selling the property? And then if they do, that gets to another level, and I'm going to defer to David Gaskell on what the step would be if the council were to have interest in selling this parcel 57, and should there be interest down the road on any other parcel. So Dave, if you would, please share what the legal requirements are.
Well, what we would have to do, as we've done in the recent past, but the council would need to make a finding that this parcel is not needed for public use. We'd have to advertise that and have the council pass a motion at a meeting that it finds that the parcel is not needed for public use. Thereafter, I believe we should consider issuing a request for proposals to the public who may be interested in purchasing that. But we also, the mayor and I had, and Jeff, you as well, had discussions about this. There are certain easements that the town will probably need or want to have on either or both of these parcels to accommodate the remaining portions of Heron Park. So that should certainly be done beforehand. You certainly don't want to participate in a sale of a piece of property when you want an easement back to help you out. But that's what the process would be.
And if I may, Mary, go back to page 14.
And Jeff, while we're getting there, I do want to just fill the council and the public in. If it's something that the council chooses to move forward with, we're brainstorming some options for the operational impacts that could be had if parcel 410 and 57 were unloaded. And the town administrator is looking at what it would take to house some of that equipment, either in existing buildings that we have, or to put up a pole building, possibly over on Schoolfield Street, to house that equipment that we discussed.
Okay, if I may, the slide that's up there now to Mr. Gaskell's comment about easements and right-of-ways and all that good stuff. I have David Engelhardt chime in just a second. But if you take a look at, I know it's hard to see. Can you blow that up at all, Mary? Okay. If you take a look about halfway on this slide, maybe a third up from the bottom, you can locate Old Ocean City Boulevard. And then if you zero in and come in about center mass on parcel 57, and then slide to the right, you see the big bold line that goes vertical. And I can't read the writing, but can you see that, Mary? Can you run your hand over it? Drop down. The big bold line that runs off of 346 to the north. Yes, right there. That big bold line that runs vertical. That is the current entrance to the property. So conversations that I've had with Mr. Engelhardt, one of the ways that should you decide that you want to make either of these pieces of property for sale, one of the things that David had shared with me, an easy way to do all this would be a lot line adjustment. So David, would you chime in on that, please?
Yeah, Jeff, basically you would be retaining access to the rear parcel, parcel 52, which is shown with the blue ponds on it, and not sell the entirety of either parcel. And really it would be creating another lot or creating another portion of the rear lot, parcel 52. So that you could do this. It would be similar to the idea Mr. Gaskell's talking about with easements. You want to have a driveway or an avenue, if you will, boulevard, so you can get back to the ponds, get back to that area that we would retain as parkland. And you probably would want it on either end, on the west end and on the east end, I believe. So you could have circulation in and out of the park, or for whatever future use we have.
And if I may, real quick, we have discussed, multiple entry points and exit points should this take place, and should an individual or an organization come in and have interest in 410. One of the things that we could do as well, and I believe, one of the entities that has expressed interest in this in writing owns one of the parcels that sits to the south of 410. So, you can make it a requirement as well that we would want another easement off of 346 to the east side of 410, so that we have multiple, more than one access and entry from the back parcel of 52. Now, tonight's discussion is not to seek approval for anything. I just want everyone to understand that we do have interest from multiple entities for parcel 410. Now with parcel 57, there has been more than one entity that has expressed interest. Again, one entity has expressed interest in writing for the old production plant. An appraisal is in process, if you will, being ordered and completed. And that's about the extent of how far we've gotten with parcel 57.
And it looks like we have two questions from the council. I believe Councilmember Orris had his hand up first, and then we'll go on to Councilmember Burrell.
Yeah, I just had a quick question for Dave Engelhardt. What is the zoning of 410?
Well, both of the parcels are B2 shopping district. 410 and 57 are B2. When they were annexed in.
I thought 410 was R1.
Excuse me?
I was under the impression 410 was R1.
No. B2, they're both B2 because when they were brought in under annexation, we had to choose the zoning, and it was all along the corridor there of Old Ocean City Boulevard. It's all B2.
We have a question by Councilmember Burrell. Go ahead.
what vehicles are currently stored there and how many? What type vehicles?
Well, I'm thinking out loud. I know we have in the pole barn that's pretty much full of snow plows. The old maintenance shop has the stage, the mobile stage that we use. We have a couple tractors in that building as well. I know that we have a wood chipper in there as well. But as far as motor vehicles, i.e. a pickup or a sedan, there are no pickups or sedans parked there.
So the vehicles are actually vehicle attachments
And tractors.
and tractors. And how
Yeah.
many tractors?
I want to say 3.
Thanks, Jeff.
Dean, if you don't mind, click the button that says lower hand. I thought I could normally click the 3 dots, but it didn't want anything to do with
Okay,
it.
okay, my hand's lowered.
It's okay. Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the council?
I didn't use a Zoom hand. I just used my real hand. If you
It's
didn't.
okay. I couldn't see you down below. So when you do the Zoom hand, it actually pops you to the top of my screen so I can recognize you.
Well, I was so busy saying me, and realized that was mute.
It's
So,
okay. Go ahead, Councilmember Nichols.
so my question, when we're talking about making line adjustments or plot adjustments, if we do choose to sell, when we do so, if we get to that, when we do that, would we include parking space for, you know what I mean, easement parking spaces for access to the park once the people get there? I mean, I see the drive entrance.
You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I just wanted, you know what I mean? Because if you look at it the way it's cut, the parking that's there belongs to 57.
So I think this is part of a multi-phase thing. So before we move forward with saying that we're going to start doing the easements and things of that nature, we wanted to really gauge whether the council was even interested in moving forward with this. So then if there is an interest, then what we would do before anything would be sold or anything like that, we would come back and say, these are some proposed easements that we think would be good. What do you think? Is there anything we're missing? And then we'll build upon that. This is going to be a little bit of a process, but that's a very good question. Thank you, Councilmember Nichols.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know where the hand button is.
It's
but I'll
okay. Just
weigh in here if I can.
Councilmember Nur, go ahead.
All right. I view parcel number 410 as the more valuable of the 2 parcels to the town. I see it as potential to add growth to the park, to build an entertainment venue, to build a skate park. There's any number of things the town could use that cleared parcel for. I mean, there's 9 acres. I mean, it's a solid tract of land that could be used to have events there, any number of things. So I would hate to see the town sell parcel 410. I would not be in favor of that. Parcel 57, on the other hand, I think we should definitely sell that, either with the building torn down or with the building on it if we can't get the grant. And use that funding to reduce the debt service. So that said, I'm very much in favor of keeping parcel 410 and selling 57.
Thank you. That's why we're here this evening is when these offers come through, we really just try to get the due diligence done, understand the value of the asset, and then we really have to bring it here for the council to have a good discussion about where you see that particular property going. So looking at parcel 57 and parcel 410, that's why we're here this evening, is we really want to hear each one of your opinions as it relates to those 2 parcels. Councilmember Nichols, go ahead. I like the
So
hand raise.
listening to Jay speak just now, I understand where he's coming from as far as the value to the town. But trying to hear both sides of the possibility, my next question is would it be likely, is it possible to sell a part of 410 If we, you know what I mean, would that be possible, or would it have to be all or none?
And those are great questions. And I think that it really is up to this body as to what we would like or not like to sell. So if we say, hey, look, we envision X, Y, and Z use of parcel 57, 410, or 52, we would say that if we're going to move forward with a sale, we would carve those out. So that's a very good question. And with that being said, do you see any particular uses that should be carved out or parcels that should be carved out if we were to move forward with 410?
Personally, I think it would have to, I guess it would go by a case by case situation depending upon what came forth. I don't see something at this moment. I know there's been a lot of discussion about a lot of things, the things that could possibly happen there, which would at this point cost the town money to create the items that we're talking about. But at the same time, hearing what those who are interested in purchasing it have to say and how much of the property they're looking or what they're willing to purchase, see how that plays out. Just hearing it, I think is where I personally am. I'd like to see the possibilities.
Thank you.
One of the things that we would have to do, and I think Dave talked about it earlier, is determine if this property is of use to the town. That process would include public comment.
I'm going
That's
to
the
yield to
question.
Dave Gaskell on that.
Well, our charter doesn't require a public hearing on that. It's just that it would be done by a motion. Now, of course, the council can agree to accept public input and have a public hearing on the issue. And you need to understand that, you know, even, okay, we're going in a direction to see if there is interest in selling either of these two parcels. And if we get to the point where we put out a request for bids, it doesn't mean that you have to sell it.
Yeah.
You can just say no, we'd rather keep it.
And just so that everybody's aware, we have there's a certain administrative sense to this. So the administrative arm of the government of the town of Berlin can say, hey, look, you can by all means tell us you're interested in acquiring any property that we may have, but we don't have the right to be able to say yes or no. So what we do is we gather that information, and then it's our job to present that to this council. That's really the council's decision on whether or not they want to entertain a sale or not for any particular parcel.
On these parcels, I really would like to hear what the public thinks or what they would have to say before I could entertain a thought of yea or nay. I really would like to hear from the public.
And that's completely understandable. With that being said, would you agree that in the best interest of a public hearing, we should still allow entities that are interested to move forward with an appraisal if that is something they would like to do? Because I think it helps educate the public when they're making a determination as to whether they would want to pursue a sale or not.
To answer your question, yes. One more thing I would like to see also is a dollar value put on the replacement vehicle storage.
Thank you. That's a good point. And I believe that that's a little bit of a labor intensive process that the town administrator has already begun. So that is information that we should have available,
Okay.
especially at a time of a public hearing. Now, if you're okay, Councilmember Burrell, Councilmember Orris has had his hand up. I'm gonna
Oh,
see what his question is. Go ahead, sir.
Actually, Councilmember Burrell kind of brushed on it. Even though it's not required, I would still like to hear public comments. Just as a visual here, though, I'm trying to go through here. Jeff, this parcel, so this is going through the little stream where the digester used to be, all the way up to the hill, the first hill, correct?
Parcel 410 goes up to the berm.
Okay. I do think that something for if we decide to go with the public input, I kind of feel that the entrance to the passive side now is valuable. When you go in there and onto the right, you have that open green space. So while I am open to suggestions for every opportunity, I do feel that that space to the right when you walk in is important. So dividing this parcel up might be a consideration as well.
And I would also, maybe if I'm hearing things correctly, would it be acceptable to this council to separate some issues here for public comment? So I'm brainstorming out loud to maybe see a sense of whether the public is open to the sale of those two parcels. And then once again, to have another public hearing once we've had a chance to draw the boundaries and the easements. That way, if somebody says, hey, look, yeah, I'm interested in hearing more, and then we start to carve this up a little bit, and the public can say, no, that's not really what I envisioned, or maybe it is. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think that that would be good. And I also want to throw out to everyone listening, to our discussion, that this is the opportunity, if we do a public hearing, to let us know what you're feeling and what you're thinking about this. So yeah, Mayor, I would agree with that.
And Mary, can you do me a favor? Can you go to the appraisal? And can you go to page 3030? I'm going to give everybody an aerial shot. There we go. Yep. So if you take a look at the aerial shot, where the overprint where it says Heron Park, formerly Berlin Falls Park, the clarifier tank that sits north of that verbiage, if you will, that's gone. So parcel 410 runs, you can see the pond and you can see the berm just to the south of the pond. It runs on the northern side up to that berm. On the west side, going to where the road is that has access, it goes up to that. And then as you can see, when you go to the east, it wraps around. And to Councilmember Nur's point, that is I guess the simple way to say it is it's the clean chalkboard property.
Is there anybody that I'm not seeing that has a question from the council? Go ahead and speak up if I'm missing you.
Yeah, I agree with getting a little more public input. I've heard just from what had leaked through the grapevine about what's going on out here. I've heard both opinions, and I think we definitely need to have a little more, now that everybody understands what we're contemplating. I definitely need to hear a little from some other people, because I've heard both sides of this discussion, and there's some people adamant about not getting rid of it, and there's people adamant about getting rid of it. But I think of a little more details we need to go through, because we definitely do need to save some parking area on the back there where it is existing as well. If we keep the park, well, I mean, we're going to keep the park in the back, but we're going to need some parking area for that as well. We're also going to need to try to contemplate in this, we've got a recreation area we've been discussing as well. And I definitely think we need to get some more public input.
And I just want to say one thing to the public out there, again, just to reiterate, so there's no confusion. There has been no authorization by anyone to sell this property at this point. tonight's discussion is to present that, but there has been no authorization to sell anything.
And just so that the public's also aware, that's what I was getting at with the initial comment. We don't even have, the administrative side of the government does not have that ability. A sale of property or an acquisition of property must be made by the council, just so that people are aware. Councilmember Purnell, thank you for your comment. I would also add that that there are different comfort levels as it relates to public hearings and expressing your public opinion to your representatives. And you can do that through this medium when we have a public hearing during the public comment portion. Plus, all of your representatives are approachable. So there are ways that you can reach out to them through phone or email. So if there's something that's on your mind, whether it's this issue or the budget coming up, whatever that may be, make sure you let us know. It goes a long way. All right, if we don't have anything else, I'd like to summarize at least the things that I've heard this evening. So the council would like to hear from the public regarding the potential sale of parcel 410 or parcel 57 and or parcel 57. With that being said, we'd like to have an appraised value for both parcels so that we understand the potential gain, or, I mean, obviously they'll be cut up with easements, but a potential gain for the citizens and the community of Berlin. We'd also like to see a dollar amount assigned to what it would take to continue the operations of our municipal government if those buildings were sold on parcel 410. And that we're looking at two different public hearings. One, whether to gauge the appetite of the public as it relates to the potential sale of 410 and or 57. And then again, once the council has made up their mind whether they would like to move forward or not with the potential easements associated with both of those properties and maintaining access to the park area. Is that accurate, or am I missing anything?
Spot on there.
All right. Well, good thing I take notes. Okay, so if everybody's comfortable with that discussion, I think it was good to hear at least where everybody stands. And then once again, the public, we encourage you to reach out through whatever medium we've already discussed. Let's move on to agenda item number 5, which is the town administrator's report.
Mayor, I don't have anything formally, so I'm just going to go ahead and go right into the department head report.
That's perfectly fine.
And I'm just going to go with the Hollywood Squares, Dave Engelhardt.
I don't have anything further to add tonight, Jeff. No.
Okay. Natalie?
Just to refer to the budget schedule that is posted online. That's all I have to add.
Okay, Mary?
I don't have anything this evening.
And I want to take an opportunity, two things with Mary. One, to I joke with her and call her our IT person, but Mary has put in a significant amount of time as it relates to this Zoom setup that we're doing. So I know she's been stressed, but I can tell you that Mary always delivers on what she says she's going to do. So I'm making her feel good. And now I'm going to make her feel even better. Tomorrow, Mary celebrates a milestone, a birthday. So I do want to acknowledge that. Okay, I'm not going to sing to her again, though. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Ivy?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just one quick thing. This weekend is President's Day and Valentine's Day weekend. And typically we would have a craft for kids at the Welcome Center. Obviously, we're not doing that this year, but we didn't want to leave the kids out. So we will have free grab and go Valentines for kids in the foyer of the Welcome Center this weekend coming up.
Okay. Kelsey?
I just want to let you all know that today we interviewed 4 individuals for the Public Works Superintendent position. And we are bringing 2 back this week to talk with them a little further, and we'll see if we can hopefully get an offer out to someone very soon so they can work with Dave Wheaton before he retires.
Okay. Jamie?
I have nothing, Mayor and Council.
Okay. Arnold?
Nothing to report.
Tim?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I don't have anything to report at this time.
And Mayor, before you take over, I just want to share, and I've been frantically going to multiple sources on this, but I had a couple folks text me during the meeting and said that I guess the weather forecast now for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is a significant snowfall, but it depends on what you go to look at. I do know that Worcester County this morning had sent out their weather, their weekly weather, and it really wasn't anything significant. But if you go to weather.com or Weather Underground, you're getting both ends of the spectrum. So we'll continue to watch that. And being I've got Jamie and Tim and Arnold on the line, and I'll touch base with Dave Wheaton, but we'll follow this closely. We've been very fortunate in 2021 where we've not really had the snow. Very little salt has been dispersed, but we've got a couple new plows out there, and I know, probably knowing Jamie, he's chomping at the bit to put one of them in use. So we'll keep you alert as we know something. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. And it's a great opportunity to plug our Code Red. So if you, my shameless plug here. If you haven't signed up for Code Red, make sure you do that. One, for the weather updates. Two, it's a medium that we use to transmit pertinent information in a timely manner to the public, along with our social media pages. So we are on Instagram and Facebook. So, all right, so we'll go into the mayor's report. Thank you. Well, first, any questions for the departments from the council? All right, so then we'll move into the mayor's report. The only thing I have this evening, several meetings ago, the council approved bringing on the services of a lobbyist regarding the renewable portfolio standards and how they impact our electric utility customers. I just received an email while we were on our closed session saying that we had a favorable vote come out of the House Economic Matters Committee. So that's a good step in the right direction. We have submitted written and oral testimony for the House Economic Matters Committee, which came out favorably, and the Senate Finance Committee. So we're still waiting to see how that plays out. But it's still in its infancy, but we're heading in the right direction. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody's.
And Mayor, I want to add to that. The vote was in the affirmative for what we're trying to accomplish. And the bottom line result is you only need one more than the middle, as I call it. But this was a strong, I believe it was 23-1.
22-1, but yes.
22-1.
22-1.
Yep.
So it's good, and it passed the House last year. So hopefully we'll get a similar show this legislative cycle, and keeping our fingers crossed for a favorable outcome in the Senate as well. So that's the only thing I have this evening for my report. So we'll move to the council and we'll do Hollywood Squares. Councilmember Orris, you're up.
Nothing major, I just wanted to publicly say thank you to Jamie and his crew. I received 2 compliments from some residents about some water repairs in the past week and a half, maybe 2 now since our last meeting. And, good job, and thank you, and happy birthday, Mary. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Burrell.
I just have a question for Kelsey. Will you be in the office tomorrow?
Yes, sir. 7:30 to 4.
I have a document to drop off.
I will be there.
So I'll see you around noontime.
Sounds good.
Okay, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Mayor, real quick, to Kelsey, to Councilmember Burrell's question, and to Kelsey did send out the financial disclosures. So Kelsey, are we tracking on getting those back?
Everyone has, I can't remember the date offhand, April 31st. I have received several back already from the Mayor and Council and from the boards and commissions and department heads. So we are getting those back. If you have not submitted it, you have until April 31st. Like I said, I don't have the document in front of me, but I believe that's the date. And I can notarize those for you. I know the mayor and councils require notarizations.
Thank you. Councilmember Purnell.
Happy birthday, Mary. I got nothing.
Thank you. Councilmember Nur.
Yes, happy birthday, Mary. I just wanted to take a brief moment and kind of circle back to the discussion of the skate park that we talked about at our last meeting. I did a little bit of research specifically regarding Salisbury. It was quite interesting. Salisbury has received over $442,000 in two community parks and playground grants from the Department of Natural Resources. So with that, they've been able to build a 10,000 square foot skate park, which is pretty impressive. It's like the Super Bowl of skate parks. And they're currently in the process of doing another phase to add another 3,000 square feet. Now, of course, Berlin wouldn't need anywhere near that amount to get started. You know, they have the Super Bowl, we just want skate park 101. So I'm wondering how we go about or how we can move this forward so we can start applying for these grants and get a little bit of funding for ourselves. Obviously, the money's out there. It would be nice to see Berlin get started on this project, wherever we put it, whether it's a Steve Decatur, Heron Park, doesn't matter. We'll find a location, but we have to start somewhere. And it seems like these grants are definitely in play.
Well, the town does apply for community parks and playgrounds grants every year. They have one funding round that's open in the spring. Currently, the grant that we have outstanding, which Natalie referenced during her presentation, was for the Stephen Decatur Park public restrooms. Part of the problem is, it's not a problem, it's a matter of prioritizing. We have to prioritize what projects that we want to apply for, and we do have to expend a little bit of funds at the onset in order to have the data that we need to put in that application. We have to have a firm location, not necessarily a final design, but a fair idea of what kind of design we want, as well as a budget. You can't apply for a grant without knowing what your budget is. So any of these things can be done, but it will cost some money up front, and it has to be something that the mayor and council is interested in prioritizing.
So Mary, can you apply for multiple grants at once?
It has been our experience in the past that that does not typically succeed. If they prefer it, if you can apply for multiple grants in one park,
right,
but they don't care to see projects spread all over town. That's just been our experience in the past.
The reason I bring this up, it just from everybody I've talked to, it just seems like there is a huge demand from our residents to engage or get some kind of park. I mean, even Chief, I guess you volunteered $1,000 to put towards this project. So I just want to see it get moving forward. However we do it, whatever we have to do, if we have to get some, spend some money to get a simple design in play, I think we should. I don't know where the rest of the council is, but I'd like to see us keep working on this.
Well, that would be something that if the council wishes to authorize it, there is no funding budgeted this year for that type of design work. If the council wishes to fund that and suggests that it be the priority for application this year, then that is certainly what we'll do.
And I think this is also part of a tad bit of a larger discussion as it pertains to grants in its entirety. So when I started, I had a conversation with our Economic and Community Development Director, Ivy Wells, and I know that I've seen some municipalities in our area acquire a grant-funded position for somebody that's their sole purpose is to write grants for the town of Berlin. So that is something that we are looking into, and we hope to be able to present the council at some point and apply for. And that would really unlock a series of different fundings for our parks, for our open spaces. So, I mean, these are great ideas, but grant writing is its own wheelhouse. And I mean, our staff do a great job, but it would really help reduce some of the burden if we could get somebody that sole purpose is dedicated to grants, searching for them and applying for them. So
then
thank you, Councilmember Nur.
And let's not forget that what Mary said, and I think we all know this, to get a grant for something such as this, there's upfront money.
Right. And as we can see from Natalie's presentation, that funding is tight right now. So thank you, Councilmember Nur. Councilmember Nichols.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Thank you all.
Again, getting us to the level of technology that we're at now compared to where we were on our first Zoom. Kudos to all the parties that be. So thank you for that as well. You know, I'm all for the skate park. I'm all for doing the community locations, the places for the children, for the community. But again, as that stated, it's going to, or excuse me, as the mayor stated, it's going to take a little bit of elbow grease. And as Jeff stated, if it's solely grants we're looking at, then we're going to have some kind of funds to go along with it. I too went over and looked at the Salisbury skate park this past week, and I think it's nice. It's really nice. I mean, and I think to hear that Berlin would be, the skating community in Berlin would be happy to start with something versus nothing, that eases a lot of my own personal concerns, because I was happy to hear that we weren't looking to go from nothing to straight to the Super Bowl. So as the chief had stated a few weeks ago, you know, when we get to, be it next week or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or however, when we get to a place to discuss whatever it is we're going to discuss as far as that goes, having a bucket and a ball, or he might have said a basket and a ball, is a decent starting place for that and any other that we're looking towards. So I'm game for working on that when we get to that place. So
Thank you. And while we're in the vein of a skate park, we did, as a follow-up to 2 weeks ago, we did reach out to the organization that previously had the pop-up skating event at Heron Park. And there is still a sense for doing that, but there is a lot of labor that goes into it. So there would be some volunteers that would be needed to help get that up and running. And I believe that if there's some interest, we can help direct that in that direction. So that's a short-term fix for something that there is a need and demand for. So thank you. Let's see here. So we're on agenda item number 9, Mary. So this is our moment of truth. We will open it up to public comment. Let's start first. I see a couple items here in the Q&A. Let's see if I can tackle those first. So just as a rule of thumb, one thing that we ask, and this is part of the learning curve for everyone, what we ask is if you put your name, which I see some names in the feature where you can put whatever you would like, and they're accurate, as I believe. And the only other thing I would ask is that you put your address so that it's helpful for us to associate, the same way we would ask in a public forum for you to state your name and address for the record. The Q&A, I'm going to read those out loud so that we have them for the record. I have one question from Marie Vallon, I believe lives on West Street. Let's see, why are impact fees so far behind? I think that's going to be a question for Natalie Salee, our finance director.
Yes, thank you. And Dave Engelkart can chime in and help me, but I believe just because the timing is not right now, the constructions and the development kind of on hold, so we're behind.
I would add that as both Natalie and Jeff referred to earlier in her presentation, we have just started issuing permits for some of the projects. The impact fees, I just collected, I don't know the exact amount, but it was $70,000 for the Willows within the last 2 weeks. And the same with EDUs, water and sewer special connections. They're referred to in Natalie's budget slides. We are past our budgeted for the whole year already with those 35 EDUs. So you have to remember that Natalie's figures there were at the end of December, the end of the year 2020, which is only halfway through the fiscal year of 2021 that we're in. And as Jeff referred to earlier, we have some large projects that are at the end of approval, their reviews for engineering, and they will be permitting this spring, namely the Oceans East Phase 2 and some couple of the commercial projects, and they will carry significant impact fees with them, and they will also have significant special connections, in other words, EDUs for the water and sewer fund. Actually, from what we sat down and budgeted last year, Natalie and myself and Jeff, just looking at it, we were quite conservative on as far as what impact fees are going to be realized in this fiscal year and how many EDUs we will have transferred. So I think the budget figures you saw tonight they're a fraction of what it's going to be when you get to June 30th.
Thank you both. Looks like we have one more question from Marie Vallon, once again from West Street. If you could get another entrance, would it be possible off of Route 113? And I believe this is relating to parcel 57 and parcel 410. I don't know if we can speak on that or if that's something we'll have to research and look into for the public hearings.
That will be something, Mayor, that will need to be researched. I mean, when you take a look at the tax maps or the aerial shot, you take a look, and I'm just using, I'm not an engineer, but you take a look coming off of the main road, you've got pretty much the access that you have is back near the ponds. So again, that's well above my pay grade. That's something that we'll have to research.
Thank you. Great question. But we'll have to wait on that answer. Thank you, Marie. All right, so our next question is from Gina Vallon from Decatur Farms. I believe these two questions can be joined together, and one's just a elaboration of the first. So if I get that wrong, Gina, please let us know. Is the appraisal available to the public? And I assume that relates to parcel 410. That's the only appraisal we currently have.
And I'm going to defer that to Mr. Gaskell.
I see no reason why it should not be available to the public.
Thank you. And we will make that available. I assume that we can add that as an attachment where the meeting minutes will be for this meeting. Mary, is that something we can do? Okay.
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you. So that's where it'll be located for anyone that's trying to access the appraisal. It'll be on berlinmd.gov, where we have the meeting minutes from this meeting and the recording. You'll be able to find the PDF to the appraisal. So let's see. The next question, I believe, is from Tony Weig. And Mr. Weig lives on Bay Street, I believe. Testing my knowledge, everyone. Please put your street name and address in the comments when you do that, please. So Mr. Weig's question is, thank you to our council members, including and especially Councilman Nur for stepping up to protect parcel 410. Looking forward to our skate park and seeking creative ways to handle Heron Park. All right, and then it looks like there was an elaboration to that. The nonprofit plans to assist on early costs to the skate park designs, geotech survey, etc. So thank you for that comment. And then we have Pam, and I believe that's Pam Hay, if I'm accurate. Thank you, Pam. Walnut Hill. And it's, will you address questions sent in prior to this meeting? Are you saying, see, this is the difficulty with the comment thread. If you're joining us in Zoom, you can ask these and have dialogue with us. We'll unmute you so we can engage in the dialogue. But we'll try our best to see if I have this correct. So I think when you say questions sent in prior to this meeting, you're referring to the questions that can be submitted before noon and then presented to the council. We did receive, I think, one question that was a anonymous question. Once again, those things have to have contact information. We don't typically pose anonymous questions on this forum. So if you submit questions or comments, please have your name, your address, and they will be answered in the same fashion that we have been doing. So let's see here. Mary, let's see, how do we unlock anybody if they would like, our attendees? I think that you can raise your hand or request to be permitted. Is that correct, Mary?
If they're on telephone only, we really don't have a way, but I don't see anyone who is in that circumstance that would show on what you and I can see.
Okay, and the
So
attendees.
I think that we've covered it. I don't see any other raised hands, and there are no questions still in the Q&A.
All right, well, everyone, thank you for working through us with the new format. I think it works well. It's nice to have the dialogue. I hope that we see more people utilize the video chat moving forward. It's the closest thing we can get right this moment to being in person, which we're all looking forward to being sometime soon. Let's move on to agenda item number 10. Do we have any comments from the press? I think we would have seen them online or received written questions, Mary. I don't think we have any.
I have not seen any.
Okay, so let's move on to agenda item number 11, and I believe that has Mr. Burrell running point.
Absolutely. If there are no more questions, I'll move to adjourn.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Burrell, and I believe a second by Councilmember Purnell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Have a great night.
Have a good
Stay
evening.
home.
Happy
Bye-bye,
birthday,
everybody.
Mary.
Good night.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Happy birthday.